gambling industry is booming. From the glitzy casinos of Las Vegas to the online platforms accessible from any device, from anywhere, and at any time, gambling is becoming more pervasive and accessible than ever before. But with this growth comes a dark shadow, a looming epidemic of gambling addiction that threatens to affect millions of people worldwide. Today, I'm going to make an argument for why gambling addiction will be our world's next public health crisis. I'm Rob, and I'm a recovering gambling addict. I made my last bet November the 12th of 2022, and today I'm going to be exploring how the gambling industry is expanding at an unprecedented rate. We're going to look into factors driving this growth, the impact on individual lives and societies, and what can be done to address this escalating issue in our world. Because after spending 6 years gambling every single day, I know what lies on the other side of too many bets, and I am genuinely scared for our society given the direction that we're heading. Subscribe to join this community, as I am seeking to help you avoid making the same mistakes with your life that I made with mine. I hope this message has reached you before things have gotten too bad. Now, the rise of online gambling has revolutionized the industry. With just a few clicks, anyone can place a bet, play a hand of poker, or spin a slot machine. This convenience and accessibility are the key factors in the industry's explosive growth since 2017. Online gambling has expanded the market significantly. It eliminates geographical barriers and it operates 24/7. The revenue generated by online platforms has been skyrocketing, and with technological advancements, namely AI that targets the exact interest and play patterns of consumers, this trend really shows no signs of slowing down. According to recent reports, the global gambling market is projected to reach over $500 billion by 2025. This growth is fueled not only by online platforms, but also by the proliferation of new casinos, sports betting legalization, of course, and aggressive and deceptive marketing strategies. Sports betting has become a major player in the gambling industry. With the legalization of sports betting in many regions, we're seeing an influx of advertising and partnerships with major sports leagues, which is creating a massive normalization of gambling. And this normalization can have significant consequences. Because the normalization and glamorization of gambling, especially through sports, can really lead to an increased rate of addiction. The constant exposure, the seamless integration into our pop culture, they make it really difficult for people to recognize the risks involved. This was exactly what I experienced personally. I felt like the weird one out because when I gambled, it was going to an extreme length. I was spending all of my time and all of my money chasing after a big win, and when I would experience the feeling of wanting to quit, I'd feel weird about it because no one else around me seemed to have a problem, and everyone on TV seemed to be having a great time. I thought that maybe I was just a bad gambler, and that I could improve if I studied and worked on myself. But I didn't realize that what I was seeing around me was a false reality, and that for many, myself included, things were always destined to end poorly. I started gambling casually, just for fun. But with so many opportunities to place bets, it quickly spiraled out of control. I lost everything, my savings, my relationships, and worst of all, 6 productive years of my life. It's a hole that's incredibly hard to climb out of, but in the brain of a gambling addict, we think that the only way out is to experience a big win. Stories like mine are becoming all too common. Gambling addiction is a serious mental health issue, often referred to as the hidden addiction, because its symptoms are not visibly apparent as other forms of addiction are. Yet, the consequences can be just as devastating. What exactly is driving this epidemic? The answer lies in a combination of aggressive marketing, technological advancements, and a general lack of regulation. Gambling companies use really sophisticated techniques to attract and retain customers. They often target the vulnerable members of the population. Gamblers are assigned VIP hosts based on how much they're wagering, and the VIPs of today are not millionaires. They're people who are just gambling too much. A casino that was acquired in 2023 by Fanatics, which was a sports merchandise company, VIP sports bettors representing 0.5% of the customer base generated more than 70% of the company's revenue in 2019 and 2020, according to internal company documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. The marketing strategies employed by gambling companies are incredibly sophisticated. They use data analytics to target individuals based on their behavior and their preferences, and even their financial status. This is what that AI model that I mentioned earlier does. A report came out of the UK that said that online casinos use upwards of 186 data points to provide the most tempting offer at the most tempting time for the most tempting amount to keep you playing until you have absolutely nothing left to give. The aim is to maximize engagement and revenue, often at the expense of the consumer's well-being. They don't have any interest in keeping you around for the long haul. They just want to see you lose every dollar that you can possibly lose and squeeze that value out of you. Now, while the gambling industry thrives, the support systems for those struggling with gambling addiction are lagging far behind. Many countries lack adequate resources for prevention and treatment, leading individuals struggling and their families to deal with the fallout on their own. In the United States, there is $0 of federal funding for gambling addiction, and many states have not increased their budget for decades. We need a multifaceted approach to tackle this issue. This includes stricter regulations on gambling advertisements, better access to mental health resources, and comprehensive education on the risks of gambling. For some reason, it's supposed to be common knowledge that if you go to a casino, you'll lose money. But their advertisements don't tell you. Everyone's talking about their big wins, and no one's showing you the truth, which is the life-changing losses that can happen in a casino. We need to see people educated about the reality of gambling from a very young age, because I've seen people with sports betting problems that are as young as 12 years old. So early intervention is the key to preventing long-term addiction, because at a certain point it stops being about money and it just becomes about continuing to get that high or that thrill. We need to reach people earlier on in the process and make them aware of the possible downsides to gambling too much. It could save their life. And I mean actually save their life, as unaliving rates among problem gamblers are 15 times higher than that of the general population. Who would have thought that an addiction where you can't overdose would possibly be so deadly? Legislation plays a crucial role in addressing gambling addiction. Some countries have started to implement some stricter laws, such as limiting the advertising or imposing age restrictions. However, a lot more needs to be done on a global scale, and we're lagging very far behind in the United States, as we need to protect people from the dangers of gambling addiction. It's also not just the problem gambler who's impacted. Living with someone who has a gambling addiction is a heartbreaking experience. You watch them lose everything, and you feel powerless to help as they continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result. It's a situation that no family should have to go through, and we need more support and awareness to prevent it from happening to others. The gambling industry is growing at an alarming rate, and with it, the risk of a worldwide epidemic of gambling addiction. It's time for governments, communities, and individuals to take action. We need stricter regulations, we need better support systems, and most importantly, we need awareness to combat this issue before it spirals out of control. And in my opinion, the very first place that we can start to make an impact today is by taking away the main tool that casinos use to manipulate the population, their predatory messaging. Watch this video that I made on why I think casinos should be sued for false advertising, and until that day comes, let's just focus on getting better together, one day at a time.